weekend, a new movie comes out where Nicolas Cage plays Dracula. So let's talk about it. Hi, my name is Sean, and I love to talk about movies and TV way too much. With that in mind, go ahead and join me down below in the comments section. If you've seen Renfield, what did you think about it? Let me know down below in the comments section. With that said, let's get started talking about the movie. And simply put, this is a very wild, crazy, campy, ultra-violent, fun time at the movies. It absolutely will not be for everybody, but if you like just weird, goofy, ultra-violent films, there's a lot of fun to be had with this movie. Now, I only saw the first trailer for it going into the movie, and I don't know that that movie fully captures the experience of the film. The first trailer they put out focuses heavily in on the Nicholas Hoult character going to a support group for codependency, and then it's revealed, Dracula's the person he's codependent with. And that is a major aspect of the film. That is a major part of his journey in the film, and a lot of the movie is in the support groups. But the movie as a whole, I think the other trailers captured a little bit better the film itself. In particular, the movie is very much a crime thriller about a cop who's trying to bring down the people that murdered her father, and there's drug lords. And so it's kind of pulls together a lot of different genres and a lot of different storylines, all surrounding this Nicholas Hoult character who is Dracula's familiar. And a familiar is the servant of Dracula, the servant of a vampire, something I learned from the Blade movies. So essentially it's about this guy that's starting to feel bad about what he's doing and processing through all of that. And along the way gets swept up into this cop's story. And then this criminal world gets pulled into it. So it has a bunch of different layers to it that leads to a bunch of action sequences, corrupt cops, conspiracies, all while in the background is Nicolas Cage as Dracula. So that's the movie that you're getting into, and it's ultra violent. It's the kind of movie that if you like the concept of Nicholas Hoult ripping a guy's arms off and then karate fighting with the guy's arms like they're nunchucks or something. If you hear that and you go, oh, that sounds amazing. Well, I've got a movie for you. It's called Renfield, and it comes out this weekend. The whole movie is that kind of ultra violence to it. Very weird. I took my mother to go see it, which is kind of fun because she's not into ultraviolence. So the whole movie, I was like, and she's like, oh, the whole time, which is a pretty fun little experience to watch it with her. Of course, the thing you have to talk about here is Nicolas Cage as Dracula. To be clear, he's not the star. He's a side character, an incredibly important side character. He has a presence throughout the entire film. He is on screen quite a bit, but Nicholas Hoult is the lead character. I'm pretty sure Awkwafina as the cop has more screen time than Nick Cage as Dracula. So just go in knowing that. The trailers very much, and the buzz surrounding it is, of course, about Nicolas Cage plays a campy Dracula. Yes, and he does that a lot, and it's fantastic. But he's not the star. Just go in knowing it takes a little while before he becomes more prominent in the story. And as it goes along, he's more and more prominent in it. But he is not the star of the film. But speaking of him in the role, he delivers a classic Nick Cage performance that only Nicolas Cage that could deliver. It's so over the top and big and broad, but convincing in that Nicolas Cage way. It's just, he's one of those actors that is able to do things in a convincing way that no one else can do in a convincing way. Anyone else goes this big and this wild and this crazy, and it's just overacting. It's just too much. But he can do it, and it's so good, and it's so entertaining, and he's doing it as Dracula, this abusive narcissist with this guy that's codependent with him, and it's so delicious on all the different levels that you want it to be. On a comedy level, there, most of the comedy comes from the absurdity of the ultra violence, and so how much you buy into that, how funny you find that sort of thing kind of determines how much you probably enjoy the film. If you're not into ultra-violent, campy comedy, probably not going to enjoy the movie very much. But there's some other little bits in here, just the witty banter. There's a whole little thing at the beginning of the film about ska music that I thought was a lot of fun. In particular, someone that was in multiple ska bands back in my 20s. But other thing to talk about in here, another one fun detail. There's some nice homages to the old classic Dracula movies. And Nicolas Cage looks surprisingly good and convincing put into that realm, where they do some of these black and white shots and it's supposed to be reminiscent of the classics. And you never would think Nicolas Cage, he'd fit perfectly in there. And it worked. It looked really good and nice little homages. So a lot of things really work here. Now, when you get to the actual plot itself, it's kind of a fairly straightforward cop wants to track down the people that murdered her father, but the corruption in the city won't allow it. And there's all these twists and turns and you're like, yeah, I was pretty sure that person was corrupt. Yeah, I assume that's where this was headed. And you can kind of tell where things are going. And so once again, how much you enjoy the film is determined a little bit by how much you enjoy cop thrillers. Even though like the movie's about Dracula and it's familiar, it's very much a cop thriller, underground corruption type story at the same time. It's kind of like a throwback to 90s cop thrillers that I watched a ton of. But at the same time, with this ultra-violent Dracula skin on it. But the plot itself at its core, crime bosses, drug dealers, cop wants to bring them down, story that you've seen many times before. Not like this, but you have seen it before. And it's a kind of movie that it's a fun time while you're watching it. If you didn't have Nicolas Cage as Dracula, I don't know how memorable it would be. I don't know how much it would kind of stand out and pop. This is a fun time. And of course, because Nicolas Cage is in it, he delivers such a fun performance. And it's just memorable because he's such an icon that you can just say Nicolas Cage plays Dracula and you go, oh, that's fun and interesting. But it's interesting because it's this one actor playing this one character. Is the script as interesting as Nicolas Cage's Dracula? Not really. It is. I wonder, like, did the script attract Nicolas Cage, or did they always have him in mind? Like, I don't know the exact process by which the movie came about. But if you remove kind of that central piece, that's the thing that makes it really memorable and stand out, that kind of pulls it all together. And not that the other people aren't enjoyable, not that it's not entertaining, not that he's the only good thing in the movie. No, but he is the thing that's memorable about the movie. The thing that stands out. That's why they marketed it that way. That's the thing that people, why they want to go see it. That's what people will be talking about afterwards. So make of that as you will. As for me, as someone that likes old kind of throwback cop thrillers, likes some over-the-top, campy ultra-violence, and likes Nicolas Cage giving weird, wacky, wild Nicolas Cage performances, and it was in ska bands, I had a lot of fun with the movie. I don't know to what extent I would rewatch the film, but I had a good time with it. It was interesting. It's from the director of Lego Batman, a little bit different from this movie, from the director of The Tomorrow War, a movie that doesn't have any of kind of the sense of humor of this film or the Lego Batman film. So yeah, Chris McKay kind of establishing himself as someone that's kind of quite versatile in what he's able to do as a director in a pretty short period of time, doing 3 very, very different films. So anyway, I think if you saw the trailer and you went, oh, I can't wait to see a campy Nicolas Cage Dracula kill people and campy violence. If that's what you saw when you saw the trailer, you're going to have fun with this movie. Now, if you watched the trailer and you went, that looks kind of generic. That looks too goofy. That looks too cheesy. It's not going to win you over. The trailers do kind of properly sell on the tone and the vibe of the film. I think it does. I think it's pretty cohesive in its ability to pull together all these plot lines and codependency and Dracula. It pulls together pretty well by the time you get to the end of it, and made me laugh quite a bit. But I just don't know how much it's memorable outside of that Nick Cage Dracula hook. So I've been struggling to figure out what score I want to give it, because that Dracula hook is pretty memorable and stands out. But I think at the end of the day, I'm going to go with a B. It's a solid, entertaining film for the right kind of people in the right mood. I was the right person in the right mood. The ultra-violence, Nicolas Cage put a big enough grin on my face that I definitely had a good time with it without it being terribly memorable beyond that. Let me know what you thought down below in the comments section. If you enjoyed this video, I got another one just like it right over there. I don't even know what it's recommended to you right now. Thank you so much for watching, and keep talking movies and TV too much. Bye-bye.